could tell us what we can do for you.
Sure. So I feel like there's a common theme here. So I've just in the beginning stages, I've actually haven't launched my business yet. This is my year of testing out and exploring, kind of understanding which corner to kind of focus my initial attentions on. And I will say, I've really appreciated in the past, I've reached out to some of my other entrepreneurial friends who have started their own businesses, and it's great hearing, lessons learned and not having to reinvent the wheel when you're starting from scratch and stuff. So for me, in a way, it's kind of similar about self-care, but more focused on your environment. And so really looking, initially I've helped for decades, friends and family organize. I'm very good at organization, have come into later in life, the whole, in my time of chapters of my life of understanding kind of too much stuff, maybe reduce, really working on optimizing my environment for optimized energy. Which has made a huge difference for me as I've gone through health issues and stuff. And then I've gone and done that actually for other folks. So my biggest client was my mother, who I did relocate. And so basically going through and managing that whole process, I think there's a lot of need for folks who don't have family nearby that can help them out on sometimes when they're downsizing or relocating, changing, kind of the chapter in their life. So everything from, I had one friend, actually, I just came to Peterborough about a year and a half ago, and so I had reached out to the welcoming committee, and the woman I had met with, she was relocating, and I was talking about my interest and all. She's like, "Oh my God, I could totally use your help." And so I basically helped her through a little bit of it. One thing specifically, I didn't even realize there was a need for this, is just creating floor plans and kind of figuring out, okay, you have this, and how does it work there? And I come from building industry, architecture background, so I have that three-dimensional ability to think things. So yes. So it's basically helping folks have an optimized environment. So reducing clutter, making sure you're taking care of home maintenance concerns, making sure you're taking care of safety concerns, and really optimizing it so that you're not wasting energy on your day-to-day life of things.
I love that.
Fantastic.
I am so about
haven't come up.
That's
I will say with Beth, I'm still in the journey of figuring out the title. I've come across a couple company names, then I'm like, oh, well, maybe not. You have to sit on it, so.
Now, do you also work with businesses? So if somebody has a brick and mortar, can you help them?
Yeah, I think my initial, so that's what this year is. I've kind of, so I do work, and then this is kind of a side business that I'm exploring as I let go of another side business that I was working on. And I think initially I know, so for instance, I've been talking with folks in the community, just understanding if there's a market demand for this. And from what I can understand, there definitely is. One person that you guys know is Peg Walsh, who was my realtor when I came and then became good friends. And she's like, oh my goodness, we totally have this issue with individuals who'll be selling their house and then moving to another place, and they don't understand concept of space and how much stuff they can move from one place to the other. So I think initially I was going to look more kind of around that time of moving, just because I think with figuring out the pricing, it doesn't feel as expensive because it's kind of lumped together with all these other kind of life, major milestone expenses and stuff too with that. So I think I'm focusing initially on private, like individuals. Okay. Yep. But good question. Yep.
Good to know.
That sounds great, Suzanne. I think there's a huge need for that.
It does.
Having just moved. Oh my God.
Well, and it's one of these things where I basically took care of everything for my mother, from, finding her a place. She lives in Key now, negotiating all that, selling her old place, packing it up, arranging movers. And then the part I enjoyed the most was unpacking and getting her set up and figuring out the best systems so that, she's in this new place and it feels comfortable as quickly as possible. Yeah. Yeah.
What a great idea.
It's so needed. I work with a lot of people that probably would benefit from
Okay.
that are transitioning and
Oh, good.
downsizing.
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
trying to clean out. It's horrible.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I think I have a friend that so I work out of Boston. And so whenever I go there, I visit with her and she's like, are you coming anytime soon? I need your help. And she's like,
Oh.
you're so patient and non-judgmental, and everyone, you just kind of, I totally understand because I've gone through the process and I'm still going through the process. So I think it's just having someone there to help support you as you kind of let go of this one chapter in life and move on to the next,
Oh, it can be so
Have
emotional.
you thought partnering with like Rivermead or?
I know I have the list of Scott Ferreira and Rivermead. And I think that's the thing is I want to kind of figure out for myself is what specifically do I want to focus on? Because I think from what I've heard, and this is great affirmation from you guys too, there will be a great need. And so just figuring out where I want to focus kind of. And the other thing too, I'll say personally, I'm motivated from improved quality of life by simplifying. So my energies, just mental health, I've been able to get better on my physical health. And then my background is I work in the sustainability field. So I'm also very conscious of, as we're letting go of stuff, of how we rehome stuff. So it's not just ending up in landfills and stuff. So there's that extra step, that does take a little bit extra time, but I think is part of our ownership when we purchase things or own things is end of life.
Good for you.
Brilliant.
I
Yeah,
so
that is
appreciate
a
that. Thanks.
huge need. And, so too many times I feel like, sorry to interrupt, but too many times, I see dumpsters come and, it's the easiest, it's the fastest.
Yep.
But if there's somebody around that we could refer to help,
Yeah. And sometimes you do have, there's no,
yeah.
no one needs wash basins. There's a plethora of washing,
No.
or something that, just is end of life, basically. But we have, I love there's so many great organizations that are already reselling stuff. So looking to partner up so that it can be
Nice.
taken care of. So
I just heard about a place and there's a little town not far from where I am. It's Turner's, Massachusetts, Turner's Falls, little tiny place.
yeah.
The only place I've ever heard of that has a thrift store for material.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
a friend of mine just made a long wool coat. And the wool, he said, was $32 for 8 yards
oh wow.
for wool.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So make sure that you put your contact info, even if you don't have a website yet for that.
Yeah.
if there's some way that we could just share what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I think just
Amazing.
even knowing those like locations to send stuff to.
Yeah, and don't feel like you have to have, the branding before you mention something in the Women to Women group.
Right. Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
great.
We'll definitely share what we can.